Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest is Jessica Baladad, founder and chief advocate of Feel for Your Life. Welcome to Radio Entrepreneurs, Jessica.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you on. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you and about your organization and what it is that you do?
Sure. So I'm a 6-year breast cancer survivor. I found a lump in my breast while performing a self-exam in the shower at 33 years old. But if you back up a little bit, I started doing self-exams when I was 18. I was a freshman in college, accidentally found a lump. It was a growing benign tumor called a fibroadenoma. And that experience put me in the habit of performing self-exams because I had to have a lumpectomy. And knowing my family history of breast cancer, I knew that this could present a problem potentially as an adult. I just did not expect it to come at 33 years old when I thought I still had my whole life in front of me. So 33, did a self-exam. I was eventually diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer. I went through chemotherapy, radiation, a double mastectomy. I had the reconstruction and a preventative hysterectomy to keep organs from presenting other issues with cancer in the future. And I'm here today because self-exam saved my life, and I'm just so grateful to share my advocacy with women all over the world.
So fantastic. Let me start by wishing you well and congratulations on your 6-year survival. And it sounds like you've been through quite an extensive experience. And I was going to use the term odyssey, but odysseys usually sound like good things. But well, out of this has come your advocacy for women, and give you great credit for that. Tell us a little bit about, and I don't want to dig too far because you might not have some of these statistics, but obviously physicians, and I don't know the governing bodies, but recommend self-exams. Is it something that is commonly performed, or do many women do what most humans do, which is say, "Oh, that doesn't affect me. I don't need to take care of that, or I don't need to do it." So, can you share with us some of the facts behind the occurrences?
Sure. It's so interesting you bring that up because believe it or not, self-exams are a little bit controversial depending on what groups that you talk to. Generally speaking, your physician wants you to do self-exams based on their recommendations for your personal breast health. Other organizations will say, hey, self-exams are not effective. And there's a lot of stories behind that. But what we do know is that according to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, 40% of lumps that are, I'm sorry, 40% of breast cancers are diagnosed after a woman finds a lump. So we do know that they're very effective. They're not meant to replace screenings. I think self-exams and screenings should go hand in hand. Screenings are typically recommended for women ages 40 and above. It's a little more difficult for a woman under the age of 40 to get a breast screening. So I recommend self-exams, and I teach women how to advocate for their breast health if they want to get screened under the age of 40. I just made an Instagram post about that not too long ago. And so, yeah, self-exams, I started doing mine at 18, once a month, right after my menstrual cycle. If you don't have a menstrual cycle, it's recommended to do it around the same time every month. And I would just say, ask your doctor, talk to your doctor about the plan that they want, what's right for you.
It's interesting because the old adage that people say is nobody knows your body better than you do. And yet I think, rightly so, hold doctors in high regard, but we expect them to find everything. And at the end of the day, they are only human. I know that in most medical practices, they're incredibly busy. And so I think that the adage rings true. You have to be your own best advocate. And that starts with your suggestions with self-exams and being aware of your body and what's going on. So have you, in the last 6 years, or however many, I know 6 years since your diagnosis, but you sound like you've been an advocate for this for a long time. Have you seen a change in willingness, or how would I describe it? People willing to take the step and be proactive and take care of their health in that regard, and women in particular with issues of breast cancer?
When I was going through chemotherapy, I reached out to my friends to let them know, hey, I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. I started treatment before I told anybody because I was still taking in the shock of everything. And I learned that there were three reasons based on women that I talked to that they weren't doing their self exams and not really taking care of their breast health. Number one, no one really taught them how or told them about it. Number two, they felt ashamed of their bodies and addressing the issues. And then number three, they were uninsured or underinsured. And or if they did have insurance, they really didn't understand how it worked. So there were all these barriers involved with why, especially younger women didn't think about their breast health or like, oh, yeah, it's not going to happen to me, or I don't have to worry about that till I'm over 40. And what we know is that according to the Young Survivors Coalition, 12,000 women under the age of 40 are diagnosed with breast cancer every year. And there are multiple reasons why women may have issues with their breast health. 80% of lumps are actually benign, but we need to be aware of those changes and the issues that they may present by talking to our medical providers. So it's a complex issue, but it's, overcoming those hurdles and those barriers and those obstacles that keep women from getting the help that they need for themselves.
So let's fast forward to Feel for Your Life. You obviously saw that there was a significant need in the marketplace for women to be doing self exams. How did you get this off the ground? How did you come up with the concept? And what is it that you're doing? I know you're an advocate, but tell us a little bit about the business and what it is that you're doing.
Whenever I was going through chemotherapy, I was in the shower one day and my hair was falling off the life off of my head was literally going down the drain at that moment. And the shower is where I always did my self exams, where I felt myself. And I just remember being in the shower thinking, I want to do so much more with my cancer story. This is not where it ends for me. And the name Feel for Your Life just came to me. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is the name. So I remember I jumped out of the shower. The URL, Feel for Your Life, was available. All the social handles were available just as it was, Feel for Your Life. I'm like, this is it. This is the name. So it started just as this social media project where I was telling women about how to do self exams, how to advocate for themselves, and use their voices for their personal advocacy. And then, fast forward, the pandemic took place. We didn't know what was going to happen. And so many people felt at a loss of control for their health in general. I was working on a project with NFL. They had reached out to me for their Crucial Catch campaign, which you may, during the month of
Hmm.
October, see it on TV right now.
Yep.
And I was asked to tell my cancer story to promote breast screenings. And they came to me and said, hey, women are missing their screenings because everyone was afraid to go to the hospital if you didn't have to be there. And women are getting diagnosed at later stages. So please, we would love for you to come tell your story and to encourage women to still get screened. And I thought, oh my God, yes, of course. And so I told my story and it went up on social media with the NFL. And then I thought, wait, self exams, women can still do that at home. So since we're all glued to our phones and we're using Instagram and TikTok and doing the dances and seeing all the trends, I thought I've got to take Feel for Your Life and make it something bigger. I've got to tell more people about self exams. And I saw it was on the market already under some nonprofits and some of the efforts that they did, and it was all right. And then I thought it I need the functionality to be more intuitive to why a woman would want to use this. So in my app, you can learn how to do a self-exam. You can track and monitor your progress in the app, and you can set monthly reminders. There are also other resources about taking prophylactic or preventative measures against disease and cancer as well. And then in the spring of 2021, I launched an AI tool because AI is all the rage right now, right? I launched
Sure.
I launched an AI tool inside of the Feel for Your Life app, and I called it Breast Friend AI. And what it does is it can take your pathology reports, translate them into terms that you understand. It gets rid of all that medical jargon, and it automatically populates questions it recommends for you to ask your doctor based on your specific pathology report. And it just went viral, blew up, and exploded. And with that came sponsors and people who said, I want on board. I want to support you on this. I want my brand associated with yours. Because what I learned is that brands wanted the experience of a breast cancer patient speaking and advocating for their products and their services. And so if a sponsor aligns with my mission, my vision, and my strategy, and my overall goals for Feel for Your Life, I will collaborate with them. Mhm.
So, remarkable journey. It must have taken a lot for you to take a very personal issue in your health and turn it into a very public forum. And it sounds like you're a very outspoken advocate for women and for women's health, breast health in particular. How do you bridge the chasm? You don't have a background, a medical background. And have you found that to be a barrier in any way for people? Perhaps the medical community looking at it, or do they see it as an opportunity, perhaps an opportunity to raise the awareness, to get women to talk to their doctors and go in for their screenings? And not very familiar, a lot of familiarity with your app, but is it really the disclaimer of this is the first step type of thing? You need to be aware, you need to do it, but you also need to speak with your medical professionals.
Absolutely. I have a great attorney who has worded things inside of the app to say, hey, this is for you to use in collaboration with your medical provider. I am not trying to replace the incredible work that doctors do. My radiologist, the people that I've worked with in my cancer journey, other medical professionals have reached out to me. They recommend it to use with their patients, and I couldn't be more flattered and humbled by that. So I have their support. I also work with the National Breast Cancer Foundation. They support the app. Their instructions are the ones that are the instructions provided inside of the app as well. I have their permission to use those. And I do a lot of work with them as well, collaborating. And so just having their support, having the support of medical providers and a great attorney has helped mitigate some of that legal risk. And, of course, everywhere in the app it says, always talk to your doctor, ask your doctor questions. I'm not trying to leave them in the dark in this whatsoever. It's really to help bridge that gap and encourage that communication between patients and providers.
Wonderful. It sounds like you're really doing a tremendous job in terms of trying to raise that awareness and the initial steps of taking action, so that in the event that the women do find any sort of abnormality, it at least is at the surface, so to speak, and a conversation could be had with their medical provider. So kudos to you. It sounds wonderful. Jessica, if people want to download the app, where do they find it? If they want to reach out to you, talk to you more about your perhaps your experiences, it sounds like you're open to sharing in terms of that, or if they'd like some guidance in terms of how to use the app on their own particular journeys, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can find the Feel for Your Life app in the App Store or the Google Play Store. It's absolutely free to use and download. And then if you want to reach out to me on Instagram at Feel for Your Life, also feelforyourlife.com, because like I said, all the URLs and everything were available. So it's just Feel for Your Life. You can Google it. Everything about me in the app will come up for you.
Wonderful. Jessica Baladad, it's been a pleasure having you on. We wish you continued health and great success along this journey of doing wonderful things for women's breast health.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for sharing your story on Radio Entrepreneurs. Jessica Baladad, again, founder and chief advocate of Feel for Your Life. And we'll be right back with another segment on Radio Entrepreneurs.